I'm pretty good. All right, so let's dive right in, Yelena. So how long have you been in real estate now?
I got my real estate license about 2 years ago, but I was exposed to the industry and really passionate and interested in it for a while before that too.
Okay, so it's been 2 years now, so you're not new. What inspired you to to get into real estate?
A lot of things, but from a really young age, I was super captivated by everything having to do with real estate. I was reading home magazines, interior design blogs, from an early age, long before I even knew that it was a career.
Uh-huh.
And then what drew me in, more recently was having the opportunity and the chance to help people. So, for me, it's really important. I've seen it in my family and friends and myself personally, achieving home ownership, having the opportunity to build equity, and guiding people through really important decisions in their life, whether it's listing their home, investing in real estate. I find the whole process extremely rewarding. And, it's an honor to be part of, big moments and that people trust me with.
Yes, it's a life-changing moment when you buy a new home, and it's also a lot easier to buy a home when you are a realtor yourself. You have access to MLS, and you have some connections. What did you do before real estate?
Before transitioning into real estate, I actually worked as a scientist in
Oh,
immuno-oncology and cancer biology research. So,
really?
yes, in the past, I worked in a hospital setting doing research, and then I transitioned into working for big pharma companies, biotech, smaller startup companies. So the work was around developing targeted therapies that harness the immune system to treat various indications within cancer.
Very interesting transition. Wow. Well, we don't have to talk about that. So tell us about your very first year. I know it was just what, 20, your first year was 22?
Yes, so officially got licensed in 22. I was still working in biotech and research back then. And so my first year really was full of a lot of learning and growth. I was doing a lot of the required trainings to my brokerage programs. And then, my first year full time, that's when I really got to work closely with a productivity coach and a mentor.
What month, when were you officially full time?
I went full time at the start of around the start of this year, around February.
Okay, so how has it been so far? Because the first year is usually the hardest. So let's talk about it. How has it been so far?
Yeah, it's of course it comes with its challenges. It's been pretty intensive in terms of training, and I really wanted to know the contracts and the regulations and the best practices in and out. And so, I was really lucky. I got the opportunity to work really closely with a productivity coach and was assigned a mentor. And so I got the opportunity to be trained on the contractual side, on, the regulations, but also got hands-on experience, whether it was, showing properties with clients alongside my mentor, shadowing open houses, shadowing the contracts and the negotiations. And so, in my first 6 months full time, I was able to complete the mentorship program by closing 4 deals back to back. So it was a really, really rewarding
You closed four
experience.
deals already?
Yes.
Wow. That's very impressive. Four deals. How did you get those
You
leads?
doing open houses every single weekend, pretty much. I mean, of course, I took a few off here and there, but really trying to stay consistent with lead gen and also, being lucky in the sense that I grew up here where I work in the Bay Area. And so having a big network and a large sphere of wonderful people that I know through different stages of my life, whether it was, before I was a competitive ballroom dancer. So
Oh,
having,
wow.
my friends and people that I used to, connect with through that. And then working in, biotech, having gone to school here, college, that really helps, of course. But in terms of finding new clients, definitely putting in the work for lead gen.
Yeah, four deals already is very impressive. So how do you get your leads? What do you do?
It depends, and things are shifting, and so we have to keep adapting and finding new ways to find leads. So a big one for me is sphere of influence, whether that's connecting with people from the past industry that I used to work in, friends, family, referrals, but also doing open houses, getting out there, going to networking events, calling, which, is always,
Cold
you
calling?
know, Cold calling, yes. Sometimes it's not my main lead gen strategy, but I know it works for a lot of people.
So when you say open houses, you do other agents' open houses, right?
Correct. Yeah, I host listings for other agents and soon to be my own listing, but so far that's been a really good business opportunity and it helps the agent with their listing and also an opportunity for you to meet clients that walk in the door.
And is that agent present while you're there, or are they working? Are they out?
Depends. I've hosted with the listing agent and I've also hosted on their behalf.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I did help one person also at an open house, but she's my trainer, so that was sort of a different situation because she was training me. So what did they get out of inviting you? What did that listing agent get f from inviting you to the open house? Like, how did they benefit from that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, a tangible answer would be that I sold two of the houses that I held open. So,
Nice.
represented one of the clients for each home that walked through the door and was interested, and they were unrepresented. They didn't have a realtor working with them at the time. And so we placed an offer on that home. And so being able to be there and sell, the parts of the home that are the highlights, I think the benefit is, of course, it depends who's hosting, but really prepping and studying the property before I host because ultimately my goal is to help the listing agent sell their home, but also as an opportunity to expand upon my business. And so meet some clients who might be interested in, of course, offering on this home or need help in general. So, but yeah, of course, and for really busy agents who have multiple listings going on at a time, they might not have a team. It's definitely helpful to, and when you don't have the bandwidth, have other agents host your open house.
And you would split the commission, you and the listing agent would split the commission.
They make their commission on the seller side, and I would get my buyer's agent commission.
Oh, so you found the buyer.
Correct.
Oh,
For
I see,
their,
I see, I
in
see.
addition to
Okay.
hosting the open house. Correct. But I
I-
think the structure can vary depending on the agreement. But
Hmm.
in this case, yes, I had a buyer's agent commission, and they were on the selling side.
Have you ever been just the listing agent yourself?
I have my first listing coming up, actually. So
Nice.
super excited about that. So yes,
Nice. How did you find that client?
actually a former neighbor of mine and a really good friend.
Nice. So sphere of influence. I really like your background, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Is
Yeah, I was
that
kind of looking around. I was trying to get my name on it for you for this podcast, but it wasn't working in Canva. So stay tuned for the next one.
that's a really, really cool background. It looks really real. Walk us through a normal day in your shoes. What time do you wake up? Coffee or tea? Walk us through a normal day.
Yeah, well, definitely coffee, much needed.
Black?
Love coffee. No, but I used to. No, definitely the cream and sugar, but coffee is a
Regular?
must. Yeah, depends also. Depends on the mood. Lately, I've been really into iced coffee.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah,
Um, it's been
it is
really
kind of
hot.
hot still.
Yeah, it's still hot here, but usually the day starts with a morning walk with my dog. I have a 90-pound German Shepherd, so definitely my favorite way to start my day. And
90
then,
pounds. Wow.
yeah, yeah. And then, once we take our walk, then I dive right into work. So usually anywhere from doing market research, client calls,
Mm.
sometimes property tours. It just depends on the day. But I do also make sure to carve out time for, personal time for the family or working out. And I think that balance is really important and it's still a work in progress for me. So
Do you do door knocking?
I actually don't. I don't do door knocking. The only time I've ever done anything close to door knocking was just introducing myself to my neighbors and wishing them it was a holiday. And so giving them some leftover treats from an open house that I had. But otherwise, no, I haven't. And that's probably something that I do have to eventually step out of my comfort zone and try.
Yeah, well, yeah, door knocking can be, very, very uncomfortable, but like you already got four closings, so that's really good for the first year. Yelena, what is your favorite thing about being a realtor?
That's a great question. I think the relationships, yeah, without a doubt. Whether I'm, helping someone to sell their home who entrusted me with their, sometimes biggest asset, or an investor, seasoned investor who wants to make a smart move, or someone navigating even their first home purchase. I think it's all about the connections and being a part of that. It's really rewarding to see how the clients' lives shape afterwards too, and staying in touch with them and making lifelong connections and friends.
Yeah, I mean, I've asked this question to many realtors, and that seems to be the number one answer. People seems to be the number one answer. It's a very people-based job. What is your least favorite thing about being a realtor?
Also, a really good question. I would have to say probably the unpredictability, especially compared to the last industry I was in, where it was a little bit more structured, corporate job. This can be, seen as by many as a little bit more unpredictable. And so in this type of industry, you can plan everything down to the last detail and things could still shift. Like
Yeah.
the market can shift or a deal can shift. And it's unpredictable, but it also can be exciting. And for someone like me, I really love that actually. No day is the same. So it's a challenge, but it also keeps you on your toes, so to
Yeah, I've
speak.
heard of people canceling the day before closing. I've heard of that, you know? So that's the thing about real estate. Like it's a lot of BS and a lot of people flaking. There's like 95% of the job is like people flaking. I'm sure you've had to deal with that already a lot, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been really lucky, but I do know that that happens a lot. And so yeah, it's part of the job.
So you haven't done commercial real estate yet, right?
No, primarily residential, but I'm definitely interested and open to commercial down the line. It's just not something I do now. But for clients looking to diversify their investments, why not? It sounds really interesting. A whole different ball game.
I didn't even ask you yet, where are you? Where are you licensed?
I'm licensed in all of California, but I work primarily in the San Francisco Bay Area. So my brokerage is in Danville, California. So this area, and I live in Walnut Creek.
That's why it's still hot. And like I'm from New York, but I really like to talk to other realtors from other states because, now I get
Absolutely.
to learn what the market is like out there. So I like that comparison. So I know
Okay.
it's been 2 years. How has the real estate market changed since you first started? Has it changed at all?
You know, I haven't been in the business for that long to see major shifts, but I think the market's always evolving just because I have kept a close eye on it for a while now. And, since starting, there have been shifts in interest rates, there's been shifts in inventory, and probably even buyer expectations too, that comes along with it. But I think, yeah, of course, things are always evolving, and the San Francisco Bay Area market is really dynamic. So things shift in kind of a micro market
Yes.
aspect. But I think the key is just staying flexible, and regardless of any changes that are happening, just tuning out the noise and staying flexible and helping your clients be positioned for success rather than, focusing on the changes that are happening around us.
So you pretty much got in like right as soon as COVID died down.
Correct. Yeah.
Pretty much, because it kind of sucks because I heard that houses were flying during COVID. So
Oh, 2021 was a great time to be a realtor, and
I
I
know.
definitely missed that wave. But you know
Me
what?
too.
I would not want another global pandemic, so that's okay.
Yeah, well, that's true. But yeah, I missed that wave too. I'm along with you, and it
Right?
sucks. So anyway, why should a person even use an agent? You don't. Sometimes people say, "Oh, I don't need an agent to buy. I don't need an agent to sell." Why should a person even use an agent at all?
Definitely, I personally believe it's a personal choice. And so if someone, values the work that an agent brings, then I think it's a great idea. Personally, for us, when we were looking for a home, we found significant value in using a realtor,
Yep.
and I find that we as realtors, especially ones that are dedicated to their clients' well-being and best interests, provide significant value to their clients. I think it's definitely the unwavering support, the expertise, the guidance that we can provide, because sometimes, and most of the time, buying, selling, investing can be a really complex process. And so hiring a skilled realtor that understands the nuances of the market, that understands how to navigate negotiations, the contracts, the legal requirements, the timelines, right? When to remove contingencies, when's the appraisal happening, things like that. That's that's just hiring somebody to ensure that everything goes smoothly. But I think beyond that, really well connected realtors that are super dedicated to their work also offer access to networks. They offer access to vendors that they know and connections. They could have off market opportunities for their clients. And resources, in general that aren't always available to the public. They won't be available through Zillow. They won't be available through a chatbot. Although maybe in the future, yes, definitely. And technology is evolving. But right now, I think having an agent means that you have, and hopefully you have a trusted advisor who is fully committed to, protecting your best interests and, hopefully helping you make the best possible decision for you. And taking off the time that it takes, because a lot of people, especially here where I work, are really busy. They're working, they have their own lives going on, and if I can take the time and the stress that goes into these transactions and really helping them achieve their goals while still being able to do what they do daily, I think that is the value that we can bring.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. And like I just want to add, we do have access to MLS, like you said. So, we also know a lot of people. We know loan officers. We might know the listing agent of a house you're interested in. They might work for the same brokerage. And also we pay for things, like for example, I paid for my last photographer. We pay for certain things that so, that will essentially be free for the buyer or seller. So that's definitely true. Yelena, approximately how much per month do you spend into your business?
It's a great question. So, actually, going off of what you just said, it really depends, right? If we have a listing, then we might be putting in more money for, investing in marketing and photography, things like that for the listing. But also, in the background, always running, I have marketing, ads, going to conferences. All of those things are business expenses and they are investments into the business. And there are little things that they definitely add up. But I try to really evaluate what I'm investing in. And if it's a smart investment, if it's a good ROI, then I'm open to it. Yeah, but it definitely varies.
Yeah, so you mentioned ads. Do you put into Facebook and Instagram ads?
I do run ads on Instagram occasionally, not for all the posts, but especially when I'll have a listing going live soon, I'll be running ads both on Facebook. I think Facebook and Instagram are big right now, but also on Google as well.
Google searches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually haven't thought about that yet. So have you found that to be useful, putting in Instagram and Facebook ads? Have you found that to be useful?
Definitely, I think so. I think, for me, it's not my main lead gen source.
Right.
And I definitely am working on, more effective marketing efforts through social media and harnessing social media. So I think, I have a long way to go in that, but it is helpful in terms of, widening the exposure and the range of people that my posts might touch.
Yeah, you got to spend money to make money. Yelena,
Correct.
how would you respond to people who say that realtors are overpaid?
You know, That's a good question. I mean, now with the compensation changes too, we're definitely hearing that more as
Mhm.
professionals. But as with any professional service, we provide a service that, and we do a lot for our clients. And so those clients that do see our value will continue to hire us. And those that don't, will just find other avenues. And that's perfectly fine. But, there's really no one answer to that because it's probably a personal opinion on the industry.
Right, there's no right or wrong. Do you view other realtors as competition?
So I strongly believe that there's enough business and opportunity for everyone to succeed, especially in a place like the San Francisco Bay Area where we have so much business, so much opportunity. So for me, I've always more so prioritized delivering value to clients and building strong, lasting relationships, not only with clients, but with my peers and with other vendors. And so rather than seeing other realtors or agents as competition, I really value collaboration. And I think collaboration in this industry is absolutely instrumental and it's key. And so, yeah, I think when we work together, everybody benefits. And I've made some amazing connections just in the past couple of years.
Yes, networking is very important. One of my favorite quotes is your network is your net worth. And
Yes,
I did realize that connecting with other realtors are important, even in different states, because I have family in Cali. So, what if they want to buy one day, you just never know the situation. I'm sure you know people in New York, right?
I do. And I actually so my husband's from New York. And so I
There you go.
spent 3 months with him there before he finally moved out here a while back. And so, yeah, I love New York a lot.
Yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is you never know. You never know like who connecting, the one little Zoom call or one little Instagram message might lead to something big. You never know. Uh, Yelena,
Right.
do you think the interest rates and home prices will lower anytime soon?
The trend is showing that, but again, I think predicting interest rates and home prices can be a little bit challenging because there are just so many factors that influence the market in general. So I think just rather than trying to time it perfectly or predict what's happening, because no one has a crystal ball, I focus more on helping clients make informed decision with that align with their current goals, with the current market conditions, with the current interest rates. And if that's not, realistic, then we plan for the future. But it's hard to predict.
Yeah, well, the interest rates did come down, but as far as home prices go, 2008 was an anomaly. Like home prices generally go up, but they very rarely go down. And if they do, it's generally a very small percentage, and then they bounce right
Mhm.
back up. Yelena, do you prefer to work with buyers or sellers?
I genuinely prefer both. I like both. So it's just different. Working with buyers is super rewarding because then you get to tour homes, find them the perfect match. If they're seasoned investors, then help them find the next investment. If they're first time home buyers, help them achieve their goals of home ownership. With sellers, it's more about strategy and creativity. So I love that part. I actually love interior design. So I've done my own staging. And so staging, pricing, marketing, that's where you get to really be creative and kind of make it your own. Of course, with the seller, but make it your own in a sense. I think each also has its own challenges, but I definitely like to work with both buyers and sellers.
Well, when you work with sellers, it's less running around, right?
Yeah, well, sometimes.
Generally, yeah, it depends.
Depends,
How
yeah.
how will the NAR lawsuit affect realtors and buyers?
You know, um, I think it affected the paperwork. I think it affected some of the new practices that we implement, both when working with buyers, with contracts, with how we run open houses. But in the long run, I don't think it'll affect things too much.
Hmm.
A lot of the things that are now said to be negotiable have been negotiable. And I think, if anything, the changes will be positive and have for more clarity and transparency in the industry, for all parties involved. So
So can we talk about that for a little? Why do you think it's going to be positive?
I think it's going to be positive because there'll be more transparency in the industry, whether it's
Mhm.
surrounding commissions, exclusive
Yeah.
relationships with clients, broker and agent involvement in various transactions, who's representing who, and ultimately what everybody learns in the first year and hopefully won't be forgotten years down in practice is that our first and utmost responsibilities are fiduciary duty to our clients. And so I don't think beyond that, in terms of business, the settlement will have much effect negatively on us as industry leaders.
Yeah, because a lot of realtors are getting scared. They're getting nervous. They're saying, "Oh, we're going to get paid less." I heard a lot of realtors already quit because of the NAR, the fear of the NAR lawsuit. But yeah,
Yeah,
you did bring up a really important point, and I want to point out the word transparency. There will be more transparency now, so that's a really really good point. Um,
absolutely. And it's not to say there aren't challenges, but I think we have to adapt. And like I mentioned earlier, the clients who do see our value and who do need to hire a skilled realtor to either sell or buy, um, I don't think it'll change much.
Very interesting, which is, kind of a good thing. Do
Yeah,
you think,
hopefully, but we'll see as things progress for
right,
sure.
right. We'll see within the next year or even the next few months.
Right.
Should new agents seek a trainer?
It's very individual, and depends on the learning style of each person. That's a great question. But I had a productivity coach and a mentor, as I mentioned when I first started.
Uh,
And for me personally, that was instrumental to my, growth and success in my first year. And I was able to not only gain some structure in what I thought to be a career that, maybe lacked that 9 to 5 job structure. I was able to find that structure, whether it was learning how to time block, lead gen, but also getting that hands-on experience. So to me, in any industry, getting a coach or a mentor is absolutely invaluable.
what about a team? Have you ever been on a team?
So I think teams can be highly effective, especially if, the structure is good and if everybody's aligned. But personally, I've never been on a team, not an official team. So I work as a solo agent.
Do you think that that might be a smart business move for you to join a team?
Maybe down the line for sure. But you know, currently I'm really interested in, expanding my brand and getting to know my clients one-on-one. But I do collaborate and work closely with a lot of realtors and industry professionals. So I do have, a large team backing me and that I work with closely, on a daily and weekly basis. But possibly, who knows?
Well, what's interesting is, some people say that being on a team is really good for new agents, and then that later on, you might want to break away from the team with more experience. So I guess everyone has their own philosophy. I'm on a team right now, and they do help me a lot. They help me get leads. So
Awesome.
I think it's really, really good for newer agents. Um, do you have a CRM?
Yes, I do use a CRM, and I think it's really, really important to help agents stay organized. And so, that way I can manage my client relationships and also, focus on maybe serving multiple clients at a time.
Which CRM do you use?
I use Follow Up Boss and I also in tandem use Real Scout.
Oh, you use two CRMs.
Yeah, so Real Scout is more like sending listings and it works really nicely and compatibly with Follow Up Boss, which is the official CRM.
And you have to pay for those.
Correct.
Oh man,
Yeah.
because I know that there are a lot of free CRMs. So
There are.
you think that it's worth it to pay for those?
I heard this really awesome saying at a conference that I went to, and they said the best CRM for you is the one you're going to use. So for me, I saw that my mentor used one of the CRMs that I ended up getting, and it worked, for my mentor. And so when I tried it out, I learned how to use it. It worked, and so I just stuck with it. But I also know that a lot of brokerages and a lot of other platforms do offer complimentary CRMs for agents. And so, yeah, ultimately it comes down to what the agent finds user friendly and helpful for the business.
And I'm sure that you have a lot of features that the free ones don't have, I'm sure. Yelena, did you ever think about opening up your own brokerage?
Possibly in the future, I think, at this stage, definitely continuing with the training and, taking advantage of all the wonderful, opportunities and tools, technology, marketing, and training that the brokerage has to offer. But down the line, when I feel, well equipped and in a good position to open a brokerage or a team, I never say never. And so, the possibility is definitely there. And that sounds really exciting.
Yes, yes, I agree. It's my plan eventually too.
Right.
Yelena, should people today buy or rent?
So that's a great question. I think it really depends on their individual goals and their
Yep.
individual financial situations.
Yep.
On one hand, buying builds equity,
Mhm.
but renting offers flexibility.
Yep.
And so I work with my clients individually to kind of assess what makes the most sense for them. Ultimately, it's their decision. But maybe if I or a trusted lender can, evaluate their current situation and then make the future plans from there.
Yeah, that's a great answer. It depends on the person, depends on your cash flow and your assets and all that. So that's a really good answer. Um, I know
Renting
you,
could be a good option. Yeah.
yes, yes. I know that you're in California. What is the squatting situation like in California?
um, Squatting situation. It does happen. It's happened to vacant homes and some open houses and listings, and I've heard some really interesting stories. But hopefully it doesn't happen too often, and it's definitely very interesting. I know we're talked about a lot, probably in other states. So,
No, we have a really bad squatting situation in New York too. It's really bad. So you haven't had to deal with that yet.
I actually did host an open house in which squatters then moved in to the home, and that home had to be temporarily withdrawn the market. And so that was a really interesting story, and it was a very gorgeous property. So it does happen, not that often, but yeah, I think it's important to regularly check on the listing, have cameras and try to do all the preventative measures. But at the same time, on the other hand, and it's a complex issue because it's very, situation based, but we do have a housing issue here in the Bay Area. And
I know.
so that also needs to be um, prioritized in solving. So
Last time I was there, there was a lot of homeless. Is that's still the case, I'm assuming, right? A lot of homeless over
yeah,
there.
we do have a housing crisis. I actually went to a housing crisis conference in San Francisco where we had, local politicians and representatives speaking on, the plans for the future on how to kind of salvage and improve the housing situation happening here in the Bay Area, San Francisco in general. But I think things are looking up, and hopefully there will be improvements down the line.
Yes, well, hopefully that they do something about that. Yelena, what is your long-term plan?
Long-term plan, I mean, I really love to learn. I like to grow both professionally and personally. And so, long-term plan, of course, just keep building out systems, optimizing my, platforms, optimizing my pipeline in order to better serve my clients. But I also think growing personally too, like learning more, maybe delving more into design, taking on more listings, doing things that might feel uncomfortable, trying new lead gen, like you mentioned, door knocking and cold calling, which, I don't default to, but, stepping out of my comfort zone is really important. So long term, just growing and hopefully, in the future,
Hmm.
having my own team and really making an impact here and being able to, look back at all the people that I've helped, whether it was families that bought a home for the first time or an investor who, was able to capitalize on the market and make a smart decision. I just want to serve people well in my community where I grew up. So I guess there's no exact numerical plan, if that makes sense, like no in terms of monetary goals, but just, zooming out and seeing the plan, being able to grow as a professional, but also a community leader, getting involved with the community, I think would be something that I want to be more involved in the future.
You did mention team. Is your plan to be a team leader? Is that the plan?
Possibly in the future when the time is right, when the time is right, because I think doing so prematurely without, the right resources and not having scaled yet, it could it could be a little too premature. And so when I'm ready for it and while I'm equipped, I think that would be an awesome idea. And also give back. I had great trainers and mentors. And so if I can offer that down the line when I'm further into my career, that would be something that would be super rewarding.
Yeah, to be a team leader or even a broker, you have to really, really know your stuff, and as I would say that you have to like, I would say to wait until you're like you have more years in the job. I would say
Right.
yeah, till you're more experienced. Um, Yelena,
And scale.
yes, do you have tips for new agents?
New agent, I think it depends again on the learning style and the situation that they're in. Everyone's in a different life situation. Maybe they're transitioning their career, or maybe they're just out of school starting in real estate. Everyone's situation is really unique, but I do believe in finding a mentor, whether it's an official mentor through your brokerage or an unofficial mentor, someone who you can shadow, learn from, ask questions that will be accessible. For me as a new agent, someone who had hired me and I was new and still am relatively new, right? Is that, it doesn't matter if it's my first transaction or my 100th. I have to do my best work for this client because they're relying on me, right? It's the biggest asset. So whether I'm new or not, I have to have the support and the resources to, serve them properly.
Yep.
And so I would say mentorship, taking training, investing in your business, if that's something that you can do financially, then investing in your business, but also being smart about it and scaling appropriately, pacing yourself. And also, a big one is cutting yourself some slack. There are times when even top producers and industry leaders have, lulls in
Yeah.
their,
Yes.
in their career, and definitely not beating yourself up, but staying focused, staying positive, and, knowing that when you are passionate about the work, when you're educating yourself, you will do a great job, whether it's the first year or the first 5 years. Just keep going and find trusted mentors.
Yes, that was a really good answer. So the mentor was the first part, which I think is really important, or a team. A team works too, and investing into the business, and also whatever works, double down on. Whatever works in the first year, double down on. Whatever doesn't
Right.
work, throw it out. So that's a good
Yes.
one. And you also said to give yourself some slack. I think that was a really good one. To not beat yourself up and understand that everyone has the hard times. It's a job that's 100% commission based. You're an entrepreneur. It's not 9 to 5. It's not salaried. You're an entrepreneur. So
Right.
cut yourself some slack if you haven't made a sale in a while. Don't beat yourself
Right.
up. Don't give up.
Exactly. And it's a people business, and so different things come up. Like we hope and we want to make everybody happy, but we know in life that that's not always possible, and we
Yep.
can't please everybody. And so our job is, and I truly believe this, and this is what I try, and I hope that I'm able to manifest this,
Mm.
is, or display this in my business as being ethical. So if we're
Yes.
ethical, we have the best intentions, things happen, and we just have to learn and grow from them and not beat ourselves up, because it is a tough industry, regardless of what people say. It's a big responsibility. We're dealing with large assets, different life situations for our clients. They could be happy, transitions, could be difficult and challenging life transitions in our clients' lives. And so knowing that it's a big responsibility, doing our best, but also, like you and I both said, cutting yourself some slack and not giving up.
Yes, and back to the ethical part, not only in real estate, but in life in general, in any business and in life, if you're not ethical, people will catch on. If you're a
Yes.
non-ethical realtor, people will catch on. Any business, any, even outside of business, people will catch on.
Right.
So be
Yep.
ethical, be a good person. Yelena,
Absolutely.
where can
Completely
pe-
agree.
where can people find you?
I So I can be found on social media, on Instagram, Yelenavayn.realtor, on Facebook, and also on my website. And I'll definitely link everything to you, so you can share. But otherwise, I can be found here in the beautiful San Francisco Bay Area. So
I'll put all your links in the description. Yelena, it was so great talking to you. It was fun.
perfect. Such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. This was an awesome opportunity.
Thank you. Have a good one, Yelena. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much. Take care.